So people often ask me, how do I get a silky smooth finish with my oil finishes? So in this video, I'm just going to do a little follow along on how I apply Osmo oil. So I tend to use two brands of oil. One is Odies and one is Osmo. They're two really different products. I'm using Osmo today because I've done other work for the same clients using Osmo, so we're going to continue on with Osmo. Now this is 3044 raw, which has got a little bit of white pigment in it. It just helps to stop the yellowing process, or reduce it anyway, and keeps the lighter timbers like oak looking similar to if they didn't have any finish on them. So these boards these are for some Legend Brace doors. So these boards have had one coat on already, and then they've been sanded with 320 grit to get a nice smooth finish before the second coat. Usually 2 coats is enough. I think 2 coats will be sufficient on these. So all we're going to do is we're going to take a terry cloth. Old toweling is perfect. And I've already given this a mix just to get the pigment nice and mixed throughout it. And so all we're going to do is apply a fairly even amount, enough so that it's saturated, and we're going to try to go in a little bit of a circular motion, and that just helps to push the white pigment into the fibres of the grain. It's a little bit tricky on here because I'm having to do both sides. So if you haven't done much of this kind of thing before, then I'd probably recommend just doing one face at a time, because I'm going to have to re-go over the other side in a moment. But it's okay. So with Osmo, it's an oil and wax blend, and what I find is you need to be careful on how long you leave it on there for. So 5 minutes is kind of about right. You don't really want to be doing this in the really, really hot sunshine or a hot day in the summer, and a little bit trickier again if it's in the depths of winter. But if you leave it on there too long, what you'll find is that will start to tack off, the solvent will evaporate, and you just won't be able to finish it off nicely. It's really important. The biggest thing about an oil finish is taking the excess off. Now we're not burnishing it like you would do with, say, a tung oil finish or a linseed oil finish, or even with Odies, where you need to get it right down to the bare timber. And you're looking for that shine with the cloth, so that you keep rubbing away until there's nothing left on there. It doesn't work like that with Osmo. Far better, I find, to take the majority of it off with a cloth, and then you just kind of leave a very slight film on there, and that's why you need to kind of get the timing right on it. And as I say, it will all depend on whether it's the first or second coat, because obviously the first coat it will be absorbing more, and so it'll tend to go more patchy, so you need to watch out for that. Second coat is a little bit more uniform. Temperature is going to have an impact on it as well. So I mean, this should be ready. If I wasn't doing the video, I'd probably be doing 2 or 3 of these in one go, just to be a bit more efficient. But that's been on there long enough, and so this is my second cloth now. I've been using this afternoon, so it's still fairly dry, but it's a bit damp. And all I'm going to do is just try to be fairly methodical. And you can definitely feel a drag with Osmo here. There's definitely resistance underneath the cloth, and that's kind of good. If it starts to tack off too much, that drag will increase, and to the point where it's the cloth is nearly kind of dragging on the surface, and then really the best thing to do would be to either leave it alone, come back to it another day and then resand, or soften it with a little bit more oil, and then quickly that'll then soften it, and then you can then hopefully get it back. But if you get the timings right, you shouldn't have any of those problems. I'm just going down this little groove in here next to the bead because I don't want that to look really white. So as I say, that's about it, and I'll show you in a moment what it looks like. I'll try and show you a close-up. Now I may just go over this with a third cloth in a moment if I feel this is getting just too wet from the excess oil. I'll usually use three cloths, one to put it on, one to take the excess off, and then the third just to finish it off, a bit like I would do with a beeswax. So we'll just go down these little grooves now. So the slightly tricky bit is I just have to go back over this other side. So as that cloth is getting a bit wet, I'm going to just get another clean dry cloth. As I say, I'm definitely not trying to take every last bit of oil off, just trying to get as much as feel as anything. Just want that to feel consistently smooth. You kind of know when it's right by how it feels under the cloth. A little bit of resistance still, and no sort of big obvious areas where it looks wet. So I'll see if I can show you this on the camera now. Okay. Now, if I can hold this and use my cloth, you may be able to see. Yeah, I can definitely see where I've just been, and maybe you can, maybe you can't. But that is why it's so important here with Osmo that you finish off with the grain and it's nice and even strokes, because if I'm going all over the place, you could possibly see that once that's all dried. So what I'm going to do is just go over that a little bit, and then hopefully you can't see it. It's starting to dry off a little bit now, so it's getting pretty close. So there we go, another one. So there we go, I've got one more to do, so I'm going to carry on with that now, but I hope that was helpful. If you like little videos like this, please let me know in the comments, or if you'd like me to do any other videos on topics. If you'd like to see me do a video on Odies oil, then please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one. Here in a little bit more detail. So I'm just trying to go in a little bit of a circular motion. This showed up more with the first coat, really. Obviously, because being on bare timber, that gets absorbed more into the grain. And with Osmo, I do find that because there's a fair bit of wax in there, that does kind of fill the grain a little bit, which is not a bad thing. Much more so, I would say, than with Odies. Okay, so this is long enough now. So we'll just evenly go over the whole area. I've decided to oil these Legend Brace doors before I assemble them. I've done them after I've assembled them, and with these beads and the white pigment from the Osmo, that's quite a job to get the excess oil out of all the little gaps and mini grooves here. So I thought I would make it a little easier on myself and do it before I assemble them. So this cloth is getting really quite wet now, so it's taken the excess off, but it's still looking quite shiny. You can probably see that. So this definitely now needs a third cloth to just finish it off. And I repeat, I'm not trying to buff it. I'm just trying to work it till I get that nice silky feel. It'll then be left until tomorrow, possibly even longer, just to let it really harden off. And then it should be good to go. If this was for flooring or something like that, or cabinetry worktops that needed, more protection, then I'd apply it in exactly the same way. I would just apply more coats. Three would usually be enough, unless the timber is extremely porous. But most hardwoods, 2 to 3 would normally be enough.